I have a question for you. What if the greatest cities in history were to die? Not gradually over the course of centuries or millennia, but in an instant. What would the world look like moments after the sudden collapse of modern civilization? In this imagined scenario, there is no warning, no time to pack your bags, no opportunity to escape. You are frozen in place as the foundations of society crumble beneath you. Let us start our tour of what might be left behind in the aftermath of a global catastrophe. With the Italian city of Pompeii, which was buried by a volcanic eruption in 79 AD. It is said that more than 2,000 people lost their lives when the mighty Mount Vesuvius erupted. The fertile fields of western Italy were smothered in thick layers of ash and pumice. And today, visitors can still see how this catastrophe froze the region in time. Our hypothetical visitors from the future are standing on what was once a bustling street, looking up at buildings that are now nothing but hardened lava. The vibrant houses and shops of the city have been reduced to crumbling gray skeletons, and the bodies of the unfortunate residents have turned to stone. The whole scene is lit by the fiery glow of the volcano, the god of the hearth, whose awakening turned his own home into a tomb. We can see that even in death, the citizens of Pompeii remain frozen in their everyday activities. A man kneels next to his overturned cart as if waiting for someone who will never come. A woman clutches a basket of fruit, perhaps just picked from the market garden, while her companion stares in horrified fascination at the glowing sky. A gaggle of children run through the streets, their school day interrupted by a disaster that will make them forever young. The famous plaster casts of Pompeii show us that these victims of the eruption were not only men, women, and children. Many of the dead were also slaves who served the Roman nobility, including a slave chained to a chariot like a sacrificial victim before a pagan altar. But perhaps even more poignant is the sight of pets preserved alongside their human companions, such as the dog who looks out inquisitively from under some collapsed masonry. While the wealthy Romans could afford to flee across the bay to Naples, the enslaved people were trapped in this open-air cage of fire and ash. Yet even they did not suffer alone. There was no distinction made between master and servant in the face of divine wrath. As our time travelers continue their journey through the ruins of ancient civilizations, they come across the temple complex of Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Built in the 12th century, it was once the largest religious structure in the world, a sprawling city with towering spires, courtyards, and causeways. Over the centuries, its Hindu and Buddhist deities have been weathered away by wind and rain, eroded and defaced by treasure seekers. And now the roots of the jungle creep through the sacred gates like serpents. If the catastrophe struck suddenly enough, our visitors might actually witness the last of the jungle trench rising above the tallest towers, slowly reaching towards the heavens. Their goal is to reclaim the ancient city for nature and turn the abandoned structures into new homes. Vines wind around the faces of the gods, hiding their expressions behind emerald garlands. Trees thrust their roots through cracks in the causeway, threatening to split it asunder. Roots, vines, creepers, and branches converge upon the central towers as if to pull them down from their pedestals. And in the end, all that will remain visible above the tangled mass will be the ghostly outlines of the spires against the green. From the steamy jungles of Southeast Asia, our travelers cross oceans and continents to the heartland of North America. Here they stand before the largest pre-Columbian city in the New World, the mysterious metropolis of Cahokia. It flourished between the years 800 and 1400, boasting massive earthen mounds topped by palaces and temples. Its population peaked at about 40,000, making it larger than London at the time. When the great city died, its people abandoned the settlement and fled into the wilderness. Today, archaeologists can still see the remains of wood and wattle houses, palisades, and animal pens in the soil beneath the grassy mounds. As the Midwestern United States experiences one of its violent thunderstorms, flashes of lightning illuminate the ravaged remains of Cahokia. Tall grass sways ominously in the wind, casting eerie shadows across Monk's Mound, the largest of the site's 6 major earthen constructions. Heavy rain pours down, turning the ancient paths into muddy streams and causing the spirits of the departed to rise and flee. From this vantage point, we can look down upon the entire scope of the city, imagining the rituals and processions that once moved through these very spaces. However, nature has reclaimed the domain of the wood industry. The roots of oak trees push through the mounds and climb up the sides, driven by an instinct to undo the scars left by human hands. Our final stop on this tour of doomed cities takes us to the Indian subcontinent, where the Mughal Emperor Akbar the Great founded the city of Fatehpur Sikri in 1571. At the time, it was the capital of the vast Mughal Empire and one of the largest cities in the world. But within just 80 years, it had been completely abandoned. Its red sandstone palaces were never finished, and its magnificent buildings fell into disrepair. Now our time travelers find themselves in the shadow of Buland Darwaza, the world's tallest gateway. It stands as a silent testament to the fleeting nature of human endeavors, the fragility of all things mortal in the face of eternity. They pass through the archway and enter a courtyard overgrown with weeds, where the royal baths lie cracked and empty. Although it has been centuries since anyone bathed here, water still drips from the broken pipes. The incessant drip, drip, drip echoes through the empty halls, a lonely dirge for a lost civilization. The emperor's private apartments are now a bird sanctuary, occupied by peacocks strutting through the rooms and perching on windowsills. One particularly daring bird approaches our visitors, eyeing them suspiciously and demanding tribute in the form of food or gold. But there is nothing to give because the ghost city holds no treasures for looters, only endless shadows and the cries of haunted birds. Of course, it would be remiss of me not to include the city of Centralia in Pennsylvania, which has been burning beneath our feet since 1962. The city sits atop a coal seam that burst into flames more than half a century ago. Since then, most of its residents have abandoned their homes, leaving behind their possessions and even their cars in the streets. What makes Centralia so unique is that it continues to burn even today. The ground beneath the city is hot to the touch and dangerous fumes fill the air. Because of this, most of the buildings have been reduced to smoking ruins. Through the cracks in the pavement, we can see the fire raging beneath the surface. Faded American flags hang limply from lampposts in the ghostly streets, and the interiors of homes are filled with dust, trash, and the detritus of daily life frozen in place as if the owners simply vanished into thin air. These interiors are especially haunting because they feel so familiar. They evoke the domestic interiors that you and I know so well, except that they have been emptied and abandoned. As the camera moves through these vacant rooms, we can sense the absence of the people who once lived here. Imagine their footsteps in the halls, their voices echoing in the stairwells, the warmth of their bodies gathered around kitchen tables. But now there is only silence. And so we come to the end of our dark and haunting tour of 5 cities that were once living, breathing centers of trade, culture, and community, but which are now little more than memories. With each passing year, they slip further and further into oblivion. Even the greatest cities fall, until they are only ghosts. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment below to let me know what you thought. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.